Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. Coming up here on the show, if you want the Niners to improve the offensive line this offseason, in particular in the 2025 NFL Draft, Mel Kiper's latest mock draft is for you, and you're going to come away from that saying, that's good news for San Francisco if they go that way. Also on the show, we're going to take a look at who Daniel Jeremiah has going to the Niners as well, and I think you're going to like that individual player, or at least that idea as well. If you want more draft coverage, hit that subscribe button right here on the Niners Report for daily shows, news, updates, rumors, reports. Anytime I'm in front of this camera on this microphone and I'm doing a show on the Niners Report, I want it to be as insightful, informative, entertaining, thought-provoking as possible, and I always want you to have a voice. So let's take a look at Mel Kiper's most recent NFL mock draft. Some surprises here. He has Cam Ward, the Miami quarterback, going to the Tennessee Titans with the number 1 overall pick. If I were the Titans, I don't think I'm taking a quarterback in this class. I think I'm taking Abdul Carter, number 1. But Mel Kiper has Cam Ward going number 1 to the Tennessee Titans. Travis Hunter, the athlete out of Colorado who can play wide receiver and cornerback, going to the Cleveland Browns at number 2. Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback out of Colorado, going to the New York Giants. Now, in one of Kiper's mocks, he did have Kelvin Banks going to the New England Patriots, but for the purpose of today's show, he also has Banks going to the Niners in another mock. So that's also what we're going to talk about here today. He has Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan, going to the Jaguars at number 5. Tet McMillan, a Drake London type of wide receiver, going to the Las Vegas Raiders at number 6. Mason Graham, a player who I love, to the New York Jets at number 7. Abdul Carter, edge rusher out of Penn State, to the Carolina Panthers at number 8. He's the favorite player that I have in this Niners draft class. Mykel Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia, number 9 to the New Orleans Saints. James Pierce, number 10 to the Chicago Bears, edge rusher out of Tennessee. Will Campbell, the offensive tackle out of LSU, to the Niners at number 11. And Ashton Jeanty, number 12, the running back out of Boise State, to the Dallas Cowboys, which would be a fascinating pick. And there's no doubt that the Cowboys need to get better on the ground. So that was one of Mel Kiper's earlier mock drafts. His most recent mock draft, he shuffled it up a little bit. And I think if you're a Niner fan, you'd be cool and content with Will Campbell going to the Niners. He's a really good offensive tackle out of LSU, good athlete, good schema fit, quick feet, and I think his game translates right away. But in the other Mel Kiper mock draft, he has Kelvin Banks dropping to the Niners. So in this particular mock that we showed you, had him going earlier to New England. In his most recent mock draft, has Kelvin Banks going to San Francisco. And let me tell you this. If the Niners come away with Kelvin Banks, that's a huge win. I mean, that's a player who Mel Kiper thinks could go in the top 5, or at least has some top 5 talent. But we know that this offseason, the Niners have to improve the offensive line, and they have to get better in the trenches. And right tackle is a huge position where they can do that on top of center and left guard. And the thought process here with Kelvin Banks out of Texas, Steve Sarkisian runs a lot of similar Kyle Shanahan schematic plays and designs. So Banks would be a good scheme fit. Very experienced player over the last 3 years. The production has been there. What he's done on tape has been very impressive. He had one bad game against Georgia 2 years ago, but the consistency has been there. And Trent Williams is getting older, right? So Kelvin Banks, you could draft him to play right tackle now, left tackle later. And I think that's a pretty good plan for San Francisco. Here's what Mel Kiper had to say about Banks in his most recent mock. Ton of experience, having started 42 games over his college career, and he allowed only 3 sacks over that time. I'm curious to see his combine measurements. Height might be a question mark if he's 6'3" or shorter. He has the movement traits and the strength to seal off the edge and pass protection. The Niners still have Trent Williams locking it down on the left side for 2 more years, but he'll be 37 at the start of next year, and it's time to start planning for the future. Plus, Banks could help on the right side for now, where the Niners have missed Mike McGlinchey, who signed with the Denver Broncos 2 years ago. I think that's a little bit of a reach. I don't think that Mike McGlinchey has been that much better than a player like Colton McKivitz. And Mike McGlinchey got a bag. I think he's making like $15, $18 million. And so from a financial standpoint, given the player that McGlinchey is, the Niners' decision to let him go was a smart move, but Colton McKivitz hasn't been good enough. And that's why we're talking about Kelvin Banks here as being a player who can be good enough. 6'4", 320, really good movement skills. He has the frame to play offensive tackle. Some evaluators think that maybe he will be a guard at the next level. Needs to refine his hands a little bit, but he is very athletic out in space. Good feet on the run and pass sets. He can lean sometimes in pass pro, leading to him getting uprooted or being unbalanced. And he's a player with a lot of pedigree. 5-star recruit from Humble, Texas. In 2024, he had an overall Pro Football Focus grade of 86. He played in 15 games, did not play in the SEC championship game, and then came back for the college football playoff, registered 935 snaps, only gave up 1 sack, 2 hits, and 7 hurries. And so I think the plan should be for the Niners, if they draft a player like Banks, if he falls to San Francisco, you start him at right tackle over Colton McKivitz, then he takes over for Trent Williams once Trent Williams decides to retire, and then you're better at right tackle, you have Dominic Pooney at right guard, and then what's left? Still need to get a center, in my opinion. Still need to get a left guard. Maybe you can draft the left guard. Maybe you can sign a center like Drew Dahlman in NFL free agency. Really good player for the Atlanta Falcons, whose dad actually played for the Niners back in the day. So let me know, which position do you want to see the Niners target in the NFL draft? Join the conversation down below in the comment section right now. We'll do some more draft talk here in a second, but first, today's Niners Report, sponsored by our friends at PrizePicks, the only place to play daily fantasy sports and the largest independently run daily fantasy sports app in North America. They have more than 10 million active members, billions of dollars in awarded winnings, and it's daily fantasy sports made easy. There is 1 football game left for the 2024 season. Crazy to believe. And don't miss out on the action with our friends at PrizePicks. You pick 2 or more players, you choose more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Right now, when you play $5, you get $50 instantly. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And PrizePicks always has great specials, like the big game free pick, Patrick Mahomes projection discount. All he has to do is throw for more than a half passing yard. And so that's an easy win. And on top of that, how about Saquon Barkley just finding the end zone against Kansas City? More than a half rushing and receiving touchdown. Pick more, pick less. Run your game with PrizePicks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. I'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of today's Niners Report. All right, so we uncovered a couple of Mel Kiper mock drafts a little bit earlier. Let's go to Daniel Jeremiah's most recent mock. You have Mel Kiper, ESPN draft expert, and then Daniel Jeremiah, who does a terrific job for the NFL Network. He also goes offensive line for the Niners, but a different player. Missouri offensive tackle guard Armand Membou. And Armand Membou might be one of the most pro-ready offensive linemen in this draft class. But like Kelvin Banks, the NFL Combine is going to determine a lot. Banks and Membou, are they going to play tackles or are they going to slide inside? Here's what Daniel Jeremiah had to say about him. Membou is the most technically sound offensive lineman in this class. He reminds me of Elijah Vera Tucker when he entered the league. Membou will be an exceptional guard who can also play tackle if needed. Again, ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind that the Niners need a guard as well. Membou in 2024, overall Pro Football Focus grade nearly perfect, 90.4. 12 games played this year, 827 snaps, no sacks given up, no hits either, but 9 hurries. And all of his snaps pretty much coming at right tackle, 801 of them. 6'3", 320, a multi-year starter in the SEC. He is very powerful, has a very strong anchor, and he has scheme and positional versatility. And I think that's very valuable when you project what his future is going to be in the NFL. If he can't play tackle, you know that with Dominic Pooney and Armand Membou, you have potentially 2 really good guards for the next 7 to 10 years. Then you get center and right tackle right, and you can start to mash in the trenches along the offensive line if San Francisco can prioritize that position. And look, if he can play tackle, even better, because that's even more of an important position as compared to guard. But all 5 of them, the Niners have to take it more seriously, especially if they pay Brock Purdy. Pick an offensive lineman who you want the Niners to draft, and looking at these 2 mocks, KB for Kelvin Banks, AM for Armand Membou. Let me know down in the comment section right now, and thanks for watching the show.